Well, before I hand the story over to the real ladies, my co-author Anna Weeks and our star Nancy Young from the book, I just want to tell you a little bit about how a nice, quiet little journalism teacher from Marblehead got involved with Whitey Bulger and the South Boston Irish mob. It all actually started when I finished a book about Aristotle Onassis and Jackie Kennedy. It was called The Onassis Women, and it talked about Jackie Kennedy's marriage to Aristotle Onassis, which was a pretty long marriage. It was actually 9 years, and very little had been written about it. And on a trip to Greece, I happened to run into the woman who owned the bed and breakfast where we were staying in Santorini, who told me that she was writing a book about Jackie Kennedy. And I thought, oh yeah, and I'm the Queen of England. And she said, well, no, I'm really got an exciting book. Would you like to hear about it? And at that point, I was really writing young adult novels. I really hadn't gotten into memoirs, but I was fascinated with anything to do with Jackie Kennedy. And it turns out that this woman, whose name was Kiki Ferruti Moutsatsis, was the private secretary to Aristotle Onassis during his marriage to Jackie Kennedy. And she had the goods, she really did. She had pictures of her and Jackie, she had jewelry from Jackie, she had pictures of Christina Onassis, she had the chances to go on that fabulous Christina boat. She knew Maria Callas, Aristotle's lover for so many years. So I ended up writing her book, and it turned out to be quite an exciting venture. The book got, believe it or not, $1 million advance. I only got a fourth of it, but that wasn't bad. And we got to go back, my husband Jack, who was here, got to go back with me for a Dateline NBC special. We got to go on the Christina, and it was such an exciting adventure. Suddenly, I'm a memoir writer. And just about 3 weeks after the book's publicity was through and I was settling back into my life of teaching and writing young adult novels, my agent called me in Boston, and she said, I think I've got another book for you. Come on in. So I left Marblehead and I drove into Boston, and she introduced me to a man who was a gangster. Well, I mean, Aristotle Onassis was a bit of a gangster, but this guy really looked like a gangster. He was kind of built like a tank, and there was no smile on his face. His eyes were downcast. Turns out his name was Eddie Mackenzie, and he had put together his memoir of his life working for Whitey Bulger. Well, I had no idea who Whitey Bulger was, never heard of him. He'd never come to Marblehead, wasn't at BU, so how else would I know him? Turns out that Eddie Mackenzie was a very low-level gangster. He was pretty much, as he labeled himself, a knee breaker, which I had always thought was an orthopedic surgeon, but found out was a gangster.